Good evening, everybody. It's System Chalk with another entry in the Apostle Obsonate playthrough, playing Ike Upscribe. As always, if you like the series, you'd like to be informed about it, feel free to follow the channel, and you can hit the notification bell just beside the subscription button. I did want to take a quick second before starting to say that I suspect we will not make 1,000 followers by the end of the year, but we came very close, and a large part of that is due to the fact that a lot of you have been enjoying this series and following as a result of it. So I wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for that, and then move on to what we're here for. So I'm quite tired recording this, and I'm going to need a minute to reorient myself. At the moment, we've got a Delightful Blood, which is going to be expiring before we run out of the Savorous Blood. So the best option for us here would be to take it to, take it to the auction house to convert into something. Alternatively, it is an ingredient, and so if we wanted 3 Grail for something, we would be able to use it there. I don't believe it counts as a pigment, so we wouldn't be able to paint with it, but we would be able to use it as an input to some kind of ritual. Of course, this is one of the things that we're missing right now, is we don't have a ritual, which means we don't have any means of practicing magic. So we're still sort of digesting some of the issues that we had before. We're still sitting on 1 fascination, and then I believe we're still sitting on dread as well, 1 there. And so my options in terms of being able to sort of improve my station have started to fall behind a bit. What I'm doing at the moment is working with my arms of iron to try and generate some money, try and also to generate some health so that I can get rid of the affliction. And overall, I think we're going to be in reasonably good shape as far as the as far as sort of dealing with the maladies are concerned. But the biggest worry right now is that I'm going to slip up on the timings in terms of things like selling off the Delightful Blood. That's going to mean a lot more pausing and consideration in terms of where we are. So priorities right now, within the next minute, we need to get rid of the Delightful Blood. Otherwise, that's going to turn into despair, and we're going to be 1 away from a loss. So this is a fairly high priority activity. In fact, we're currently selling the Refulgin for money. I think in the grand scheme of things, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's a little too late to fix that now. So the next thing that I'll be doing is going to Oriflamme's to sell the Delightful Blood. We're going to take the money and pay our rent. Now we have a Season of Suspicion coming up, which means, you know what, we're safe because we haven't generated any notoriety, and we're not going to, so we'll let that pass by, although at some point I am going to get rid of the evidence. And then I suspect probably what I'll try and do is a bit of painting to generate contentment to get rid of the despair. And then, of course, there will be some other ways of generating dread, which will allow us to get rid of the fascination. Alternatively, we may get a fleeting reminiscence from getting rid of the Season of Despair. I don't remember offhand, but I have used a little bit of the lead-in to talk about the game plan. Part of that is just for me to understand what's going on. And if you've struggled a bit with Cultist Simulator, we're in the New Game Plus mode, so it's more unforgiving. For instance, the Long could potentially come after us in the form of adding some despair or fascination. So this is one of the more unforgiving moments, and it doesn't hurt to stop and smell the roses. But I've done that. Let's move forward and see what we can accomplish. Some of the audience are on their feet now. Passions are rising, so that's good news for me. We're going to be getting a bit more money from it. Although I guess this is the value it should have been anyway. Of course, the longer this auction runs, the more likely this Delightful Blood is going to turn into dread, so I shouldn't be too smug about it. Alright, the others speak little to me, but now they nod when I pass. Here is my pay. So here's the vitality for our efforts. We are fatigued. As you can notice, we're definitely hurting as far as the health is concerned, but we're healing up. In 9 seconds we'll be done with that, then we can combine the vitality with the affliction. And before I get fired, let's go back to Glover and Glover. Just the scratching of pens, the sourness of dust, the sighing of the younger Glover, and the greedy gurgling of the elder. Now we haven't pursued higher levels of employment at Glover and Glover because of the worries of Mr. Alden. Okay, so the auction is complete. The auctioneer's gavel bangs. My item is sold. So we wound up with 4 funds for that. That is great news. So before I go too much further, we should take Oriflammes. We'll bring in the Delightful Blood. Our Delight's Blood is a payment towards certain special goods for particular connoisseurs. Everything must be just right for the vitulation. And the sick room grows close and stale. It is time to get up. Now, under normal circumstances, I would take my health in the dream slot and recover it that way. I believe that would be 30 seconds. But in this case here, clearly I need to get better from my, my brush with the Reaper. So we're going to combine the Affliction and Vitality, and we should be back to health. Nope. And in from the night, our spy has returned to us. So Slee is a lantern follower, so we'll get the intelligence that we need. A crowd of pinched faces, glinting eyes. Who will bid? The item at auction is visible on the right. It will be gone forever if this auction is lost. Now, of course, we can always put the blood in, and we'll get the 7 graces again. I can't remember how expensive it is. I don't believe we'll have enough money for it, but let's give it a shot. We've come into a little bit of money unexpectedly. We'll be a bit careful in terms of our use of cash. One small worry I have would be the fact that I want to do some painting, and so I might be a bit short on money from that. But I think it's worth the shot, and if we don't wind up with the 7 graces, that's fine. We can just turn the money into a trip to Cater and Hero Limited. Our immortal enemy is preparing their next action. As long as planning their next action against us, if we send a spy, we might be able to recover something of their intentions. Alright, so we've got Eldridge. Eldridge was there to sort of stop a direct attack. And, oops, come with me. Alright, I've just ruined the tabletop. So for our trouble, we earned a little bit of mystique. That's going to mean that the weary detective is pursuing us for a little bit longer, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. And we've got Enid, one of the wonderful Nock. So we have 2 people that we can add to the cult. Now, because I'm a little bit worried about the sort of my mental state, I am keeping them in reserve for being able to induct them into the secrets of the Grail. We're going to be using some of the negative, some of the negative influence to bring them in. This, incidentally, is one thing I could have done with the blood, I believe, because it's Grail. I could have used that in a ritual to induct Enid or Violet into the Order of the Bloody Cup. But in this case, you know, the 7 graces is something that I'm going to need later on inside of the game, so I figured it was just as well that we give it a shot. Now, I don't have the same need for vitality at the moment, so the reason why I was keeping on using the Waking Chant was the odd chance that I would be able to generate a vitality. I'll just try and think if there's any other things that we might want. I suppose if I can get more lessons learnt from Glimmering. Well, vitality I could use to become even more swole. So maybe we'll still keep using the Waking Chant. Talking publicly about the invisible arts will attract attention. Perhaps that's what I want. Now, this will probably wind up taking away a passion, but we've got quite a bit of that at the moment, so I shouldn't be too concerned. And we have finished studying the Rose of Nuriel, a volume of collected teachings of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories, but in some was very powerful indeed. This was recorded by Nuriel and is dedicated to Saint Tryphon. Saint Tryphon, of course, is one of the people who could be pursuing us, but perhaps I'm giving that away a little too early. Now, there is a danger every time that you read these books of generating a particular emotion, generating fascination or dread. And the challenge here, of course, is I'm at a point where I can't afford to bring in either one of them. Now, the fact of the matter is, The Rose of Nuriel is not a very high-level book, so I have less to worry about there. Of course, if you've played this game a lot, you might even have them memorized. But Heart is also not the sort of thing that you would associate with sort of sinister sinister teachings. Of course, if you're looking at a winter book, that might be generating a bit of dread for you. So, Saint Tryphon, Nuriel explains, performed secret miracles in the name of she who bleeds and bears, and she who opens. Thus Saint Tryphon opened the way to the house of the sun. Thus Saint Tryphon underwent the great birth and ascension to immortality. Okay, so there's the weary detective picking up the mystique as we were expecting. Here we're just waiting to get the money. I raise my hand, the auctioneer raps out an acknowledgement. Will anyone match me? I keep forgetting the money doesn't automatically come in, so I'm going to need to keep feeding that. We do get the money back if we don't succeed, so I'm not too worried about that. However, I should think a little bit about do I want to use my fevered imagination? Ah, you know what? Now seems like a reasonably good time for me to bank on my reputation. I'm going to be losing the money otherwise, and I don't think it would hurt to practice a bit. Not practice a bit, but try and generate some contentment. We probably won't earn a lot of money out of it. I will still try and pay for the paints, but I am taking a small risk by doing that. And we've got our 3rd health back, so we're good as far as our health is concerned. Now, I would like to start getting some more secret histories. This is so that we can start investigating the vaults on the continent. I'm sorry for all of the sort of hesitation in terms of the ideas. Like I said, I'm quite tired recording this. So let's go through the stag door is probably the thing that would generate more furtive truths. So we'll use reason for that. In my dreams, I know the path to the stag door through the maze of the bounds. Gearby will let me pass, but the path is always a puzzle. I will need reason. Now we don't have we don't have Alden breathing down our neck at Glover and Glover, so reason is fairly easy to give up. Right, somebody's matched my bid. We kind of knew that was going to happen. And a report from our spy, the long strategy is coming clear. Our mortal enemy is preparing another action. We don't know what that is yet. Colors of the night. I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. Oh. Ooh. I'm not going to pay for the extra paint. Our enemy will find us in the Mantis this time. Okay. So that would mean moth or winter, if I'm not mistaken. And so now I will want to use one of my moth disciples to get rid of the tentative evidence. But at this point, we'll send Yzabet off to battle the Long. It's a shame that I'm not able to put the money in, but I think it's better that I allow for the. I don't invest. So it's possible I put the money in and I don't get anything back. If I put the money in the auction, I get the money back, and so I can still pay the rent, even if I don't get any return out of this. All right, Saint Tryphon began the ascension by passing the horn door. He continued it by learning the invocation Theatic, which Nuriel does not here record on account of its extreme holiness. And Nuriel explains grimly, to achieve the 7 marks of the Great Birth, Saint Tryphon consumed both those whose soul had left them, and even those in whom the soul remained. So we've got the Iguvine Rite. That's the second one of those. Every door in the Mantis requires its sacrifice before it will open. The Iguvine Rite prescribe the manner of the sacrifice. And we have a Megalesion incantation. So this is the first lower level Grail lore that we've got. The Great Mother Remembers, level 4. So we could translate and read the Rose of Wanzai, or we could translate and read the Journal of Alessandro Lacrosse. Now, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to translate the Rose of Wanzai, but I'm not going to read it because, of course, it's a lantern book which may generate fascination. So, marked with a triple sign of the arcane contemplative order known as the Sisterhood of the Knot, but a 4th leaf has been added, disfiguring the sign in Greek. And I lock the study door and the work begins. The world goes away. All right. That makes me a little worried that I'm going to generate fascination, but all right. So somebody's matched my bid. Hopefully we'll earn some money off of the art. Otherwise, we will probably lose the auction. Excellent. So we got some contentment as a result of the painting. So, and we may wind up. Oh, it looks like we did get some money. So we're also going to be able to buy some spices. Things are looking up. All right, so we've also preserved the lesson learned. I still think we're not really going to be able to do anything with it, but it's nice to know that it's there. yeah, we got 3 funds even though we didn't invest anything into the painting. So we will be able to continue on with the auction. We can head back to Glover and Glover with a bit of a spring in our step. And the good news is that if we're in a situation where we generate dread, we're not really that worried about it anymore. In fact, it may be desirable because it's going to mellow out the fascination. Although again, I do sort of think that the fleeting reminiscence is going to take care of that on its own. It's been a while, so. Of course, we're not going to be able to paint again because of the, well, we will, but it's going to be less likely that we generate money. Okay, so we've got a subtle rupture. Now this would normally be quite good because it's something that we could use in a ritual to summon something. But again, we don't have any rituals. So even though we might want to summon something to deal with the evidence, the fact of the matter is this is not helpful to me right now. So we can go through the Ascent of Knives or we can go through the Painted River. Now I'd love to go to the Painted River, but there is the risk that there's going to be fascination that comes out of this, whereas I believe there is no chance of fascination coming from the Ascent of Knives. So I'm going to be a bit cautious and go up the sharp stairs. Good call. A furious air. Anger is implicit in every shape. A 10th order influence, a gathering knot of power and peril. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. So wonderful that we got that, but unfortunately not very helpful to me right now. Of the place my dreams took me last night, this has been written. The ascent is glass, the walls are knives, each step is blood. I did not climb far, the pain was too great. When I woke, that pain remained with me, a pain that I could employ to occult purposes if I hurry. Someone has matched my bid. I must match it with more funds or forgo my prize. So it's definitely getting quite costly, but I'm willing to go through with this. And we might actually, this might have been arriving just in time. So what hungers drive us? And we have a new acquaintance and some mystique to show for it. So Waking Chant didn't generate any vitality, sadly, and we've got Pope Clifton, a bellowing and unorthodox Catholic with a mystic streak and an untrimmed beard. Which reminds me, I did not give the description of Enid. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. It may be that you've dreamed the same dreams. So I think we're still going to carry on with the same activity. We'll carry on with the Waking Chant because I don't really see much of a reason to... we'll keep talking about the Waking Chant because I don't see much reason to use my talk verb for anything else. There is the question about what I want to use the dream slot for, and because we don't have any illness coming up, we do have a Season of Despair coming up though, and that's going to arrive just in time for us to lose the current one, so I got to be on my best behavior again. But we'll go back through the white door. We'll employ some reason towards it. Oop. Oh, I'm an idiot. Sorry. That should have been the stag door. Oh well. I'll have to be a little more careful in the white door, but... And sure enough, we have got the fleeting reminiscence. A moment in time, and another moment, it'll be gone. Paintings whisper, windows wink. I know that these things are not true, but how can I be certain? You can defeat visions with dread, a fleeting memory, otherwise you will lose yourself completely at Fascination 3. A courier has arrived from our delight with a single vial of their most holy blood. Reminder who our delight is, Paul Samuelson, our fountain, our joy, who rests in exile until the greatest of feasts, the vitulation. So this will last for 240 seconds. We have 190 seconds left, and of course we're buying this sacred spices already, so we should be okay. We've prepared the Rose of Wonzai for further study, and of course now I can quite reasonably read the work. The heretical teachings of a disgraced offshoot of the Sisterhood of the Knot, that arcane contemplative order that existed in all histories. This was recorded by Wonzai and dedicated to Saint Respicius. The offshoot favored by Wonzai, the true sisterhood, followed Saint Respicius in pursuing ascension in the name of the door, the eye, the merciless hour of light. Saint Respicius failed, perhaps because the larger sisterhood tracked him down and ritually strangled him, but Wonzai outlines steps for those who hope to succeed. And I think at this point we are actually getting close to the end of our time together, so I will hold back on the board. I know this is usually the time that the signs for the future episode come in. And the next one will be reading a few books. I think it's high time that we started going on to some of the other expeditions, so this will mean either I need to repair my finances after our auction, or we'll start focusing a little bit more on making money so that we can start going on expeditions. Until next week, have a great one, and a very Merry Christmas to those of you who are watching around the appropriate time of the season.